Welcome back for those of you who are returning to our channel. For those of you who are new, welcome in. We are definitely diverse. We have a couple of different series already. This one's going to be a little bit different, similar to Minecraft, but it is a heavier focus on survival aspects and a little bit more hardcore, if you will. This is called Vintage Story. It is a game that was developed by a group of modders who modded Minecraft, but they were limited by the engine in which Minecraft uses, so they decided to develop their own game, and it is a very fun but very challenging game. So I figured we would go ahead and do a playthrough series. Full disclosure, I do have a little bit of time tinkering with things, not a whole lot. I still don't understand a whole lot of what's going on. The little bit of time I have is with a friend of mine who actually gifted me the game so that we can play together. Told me he thought I would like it, which he's right, I do like it. I appreciate the challenge, and I of course appreciate the aesthetic of it appearing to be very similar to Minecraft. So we're going to jump right in. There are a lot of different settings. If you were to go ahead and look at all of the different customizations and things like that, my suggestion would be stick with everything that the base game defaults you to before we jump into a whole lot. Like I said, I don't even understand a lot of the mechanics that are going on, so I'm going to be learning as we go, just as you guys are going to be learning as I go. So I'm just going to randomize this a couple of times. Gloomy Village Valley, we'll go with that. I'm not going to customize any of this. I'm just going to hit Create World. We're going to go straight in, and just by the load screen you guys can see the similarities to Minecraft. The animal there, the reindeer, will obviously appear different. There are things that are going to look different than Minecraft. A lot of it is very similar in feel and look, but not all of it. The animals are a lot more refined and detailed, just as the items are as well. I'm going to kind of give you a brief overview of what I do know starting out. Where should we go here? I've already created my character, so I just hit last selection and it will build my character the same way I did last time. But feel free to tinker with this because there are a lot of different fun options, and the voice, you gotta go with saxophone, you gotta go very low. It's great, it's hysterical. Just do it, give yourself a good laugh, especially since we are going to have a lot of difficulties as well. So right off rip, we spawn in the rain, which is not great, but we'll deal with it. So this game, unlike Minecraft, does feature survival aspects that are very different than Minecraft, in that we do need to care about food. We also need to care about our temperature. We also need to craft tools in a very different way than in Minecraft. So we're going to go ahead and punch these cattails. The little bit that I do know that I have tinkered with, cattails are very important in the game. They will help us with crafting extra inventory slots, but they can also be used as good emergency food if you don't have food. That part right there is very important. I can't tell you how many times I've starved to death in this game. So food is a big, big one. So definitely grab as many cattails as you can. There's Trash Panda up there, just chilling. Animals do run away from you just like they would in real life. Again, they do a pretty good job at simulating real life, so most animals that are smaller will run away from you. Then we've got things like boars and bears, which are very aggressive by nature, so you definitely want to watch out for them or listen out for them. We are going to keep grabbing ourselves some cattails, and I'm looking on the ground for these stones, and the reason I'm looking on the ground for these stones is we're looking for this guy right here. We're looking for loose flint, so we can grab this. Loose flint is how we're going to build and craft our very first rudimentary tools. We'll be building a lot of those, so it's best to keep an eye out for them. And this little raccoon has something in his mouth, I don't know what. But it's best to keep an eye out for those flintstones. There is a setting that you're going to want to enable. Go to settings. I believe it's accessibility. It's not. Where are we? Interface? Yes. Block interaction help and block info overlay. These you should definitely have on. And when you look at an item, it will kind of tell you what interactions you can do with it and what the item itself is. So they're very, very helpful to have. Just like if you look at this bush, their red currant bush, it will have red currant berries, and it will also tell you that it will ripen in 8 days, which means that in 8 days we'll actually have food source from this bush if we were to stick around. I don't think I'm going to stick around for 8 days because we don't need to. That is a wolf we're going to just leave now. We don't have any tools on us. We don't have any means of taking that wolf on, so I'm not going to stick around for it to decide that I am his lunch. Unlike in Minecraft, you'll notice right off the bat I do have a mini-map, and you'll see that at the top right, Minecraft does not give us such pleasures, so that is always nice to have. We also have an actual map if we press M, and we can kind of get us a good lay of our surrounding areas. We're not in a great spawn, but we're not in a terrible spawn. I like to be near water, because that will make farming food much easier for us. Not a big deal that we don't have water, or at least large bits of water near us. We're going to punch some leaves. Now these branchy leaves are going to give us sticks, which, again, great for crafting items, specifically tools. We're going to keep breaking these guys. Get us more sticks. You need to specifically be looking for the ones that say branchy leaves. Regular leaves have a chance of dropping a stick, but not near as high as branchy leaves. So we've got 8 sticks and 2 flint, which means I can create me 2 different tools. We're going to grab that 3rd piece of flint and that 4th piece of flint. Oh, that gave me 2. Even better. So this will give us our first look at crafting a tool. We're going to shift and right click flint, and it'll bring this little menu up here. So this is where we're going to craft our first tool. It's what's called napping. Important note to keep in mind, in order to nap an item into another item, you are going to need another piece of flint or a stone in your hand to do so. If you don't have another one in your inventory, you will find that you cannot break the stone to craft your item the way you want to. So the first thing that I recommend is a knife blade, because this will help us do a lot of things. And we're going to hit the left click. And then another really quick tip is if you separate and isolate other blocks, these will disappear. So if I isolate these particular blocks here in the grid, you'll notice that I can get through that really quick. You don't have to individually break all of them. When I first started, I thought we did, so it was rough. Next thing we're going to make is a spearhead, because we're going to want a way to dispatch all of our unwanted visitors, such as that wolf earlier. Thank goodness he did not follow us, because we would definitely not have survived that. I'm going to place my sticks here. I'm going to place my knife here, or knife blade there, my spearhead here, and this is going to give me my first tool. I'm going to go ahead and keep these berries so so that we can get our hunger meter, that's that green one, up as quickly as I can. Now, flint knife will help us go ahead and harvest our cattails a little bit faster than with our hand. You'll also notice that I have the option and ability to break the root, and it would drop it here. This means that I can actually plant this cattail anywhere that I would like, which is great. Cattails are not only good, as I mentioned before, for increasing inventory, but they can also be used as very low-level emergency food. So if you find yourself in dire straits and you need food, well, this would be a great way to get yourself some pretty quickly. I'm going to keep them as we're exploring. I'm going to grab these. That fish would be nice to have. There's some more loose flint here, so we were going to grab that piece of flint, and I messed up and placed a bush instead of having flint in my hand to collect that flint. That's okay though, we're just going to keep exploring, pretend like it didn't happen, and try and find us a decent place for our first house slash dirt hut. We're not going to have a fancy house right off the bat, kind of thing. I like to do the islands because it's definitely keep us safer from things that go bump in the night. Pardon my battle.net for just randomly popping up. Lead ore bits. It's going to be a long time before we step into smelting, so I'm going to leave that guy there. If we were a little bit later on in the game, that would definitely would have been a great find. Now, unlike Minecraft, nightfall is actually much worse in this than in Minecraft. Minecraft, you can get away with kind of just hanging out and doing stuff throughout the night. In this game, you will notice once we get to that point that it is incredibly dark and incredibly difficult to navigate. So you will see very soon that when nightfall hits, I don't do a whole lot of anything. I'm going to keep harvesting cattails. Should almost have enough for increased inventory. Make baskets. But I'm also don't need cinnamon ferns. I need dry grass. Here we go. So we're going to get a lot of dry grass by doing this. Specifically, the reason that I want dry grass is because we can make beds from dry grass. We can also make a fire starter to get us a early game fire source. Light source for nightfall, but also a good cooking source early game. So we're just going to keep cutting through. We're probably going to use most, if not all, of the durability of this knife, but that's okay because we do have a few pieces of flint that we can always replace that with. These cobblestone pieces would be good to have. We're not going to go down there because we're not near equipped enough for it. I heard an animal. Okay, what do we have here? Wow. He really just jumped straight in the hole. Okay, well, we were going to have ourselves some bacon, but the bacon decided we weren't going to have some bacon. Could have shown you cooking right then, right there. It's okay though, we'll just keep going. Now, also, unlike in Minecraft, you'll notice that I don't need a crafting bench to have a 3x3 crafting grid. This is actually really nice. I love this because it gives me the ability to craft anything I want at any time, so long as I have the resources. In a game as unforgiving as this, that is a huge deal. We immediately have our crafting grid here, which means that I can immediately do... Oh, what was the... I gotta remember the recipe... Gonna need to get rid of this bush, but not the end of the world. Cattails. If we make a U shape with cattails, we'll actually get a hand basket. You need 2 in each slot, so in this case I'm going to have 3 hand baskets. I might actually have enough for all 4 hand baskets, which I do. So I'm going to take those and I'm going to plop them down here. And this will give me an increased inventory by 3 slots per, which means I can now store things in here as well. Which of course is great. Now we're going to keep trucking along here. Try and find a decent little area if I can build. I'm thinking right there is going to be the place where we do our first build. I'm going to want a dirt hut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place another flint head. We're going to go with a shovel. Once again, I'm just going to isolate all of our orange outlined blocks away from the head of the tool itself. The stick here. Put a shovel head here, so I now have a flint shovel. Also going to get me an axe, because this will let me get wood, so that I can create firewood. Alright. So this will give me a good set of first tools. While I'm here, there is clay here, which we're going to grab for pottery. Pottery is going to be something that we're definitely going to want to dabble into as quickly as we can. Because this is going to give us additional cooking ability and lighting source ability, things like that. So if you do happen to be near clay, grab it. It's going to be super useful. I don't know if I'm going to spend a whole lot of time grabbing this, but I'm definitely going to spend some time to get some clay. So 64 is a stack. I think we're going to go up to 2 stacks, but then we're going to focus on getting dirt to make our first hut. That first hut is going to be super, super critical to us. Nighttime is much more unforgiving than Minecraft is. The monsters are fierce and very strong, and sure we're not going to end in an unsavory position. Grab that again. And I'm gonna put these two up here. Medium fertility soil. We'll go ahead and grab you. We'll need you at some point anyways. But for now we're just gonna grab some to build us our first home that we can succeed in. At least in surviving our first night. After we get our bits of dirt for our first hut, we're then going to chop down some trees so we can make a fire. And that way we'll have fire to A, be able to see, because nighttime is incredibly dark, but B, we want to make sure we stay warm through the night. Got a little bit of food. I did not mean to throw the spear. If you want to throw your spear, you hold down right click and it will have a little charge. The square will get smaller to tell you that you have the highest charge possible, and then you will be able to throw it. You don't have a whole lot of range when throwing your spear, so bear that in mind. Bow and arrow is possible to craft, but you will need to be the hunter class. At the very beginning you saw that I could choose my class, and that is where you would choose hunter. You do get a drawback though. With a hunter you have less mining speed, so bear that in mind if you choose the hunter. You have better sneak up on targets like animals. You do have the ability to do more damage with bows and more damage overall to animals. However, you do indeed have less mining speed, which in early game doesn't sound like it would be a big downside, but in all reality it actually is, because once you get into later game and you're trying to get armor and tools and things like that, you're definitely going to want to make sure you can get that ore as quickly as possible. But if you have a debuff, that's going to be a little bit difficult. Now, my shovel broke here. A shovel is really only for quicker mining for dirt, but it's still decently quick with your hands, so you don't need the shovel. The shovel I mainly got for that clay. Also, just to keep illustrating how you make tools, because that's going to be a very important thing. You're going to go back to that so often in the early game. You want to make a rush to pottery, again, so that we can get all of the amenities that we would normally have, such as, again, cooking pots, coals, infinite light sources, because torches are not infinite light sources. Go ahead and break that so we get a stick. That's not good. Where's that wolf? We heard him. We don't see him. Don't like this. Never fun to hear a wolf but not see where it's coming from. I guess we're just going to go ahead and focus on getting our dirt hut here and hope we don't get attacked. If we do, we're definitely not in great shape to get through it, but I'm sure we will at least slightly survive. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And this is going to be our very first dirt hut to be able to get through our very first night. We don't need it to be fancy, we just need it to be functional. I'm going to do this so nothing besides is going to get in. I really should have actually gotten us some wood for a fire, and of course there's not really trees, so we're going to make a quick detour. As we're getting to be our first night. Let's hope that there's no creature that's going to come and get me as we're doing this, because that would be incredibly unfortunate. I already heard a creature. I don't know if it's after us. Let's hope not. Because I just need to get one log cut. We will have a decent amount of wood. That's it. That's all. You can see that these early game rudimentary tools are exactly that. They are rudimentary at best. They are not quick, they are not efficient, they are not meant to be. You're meant to progress into metalworking and metal tools. Of course, we're not going to be able to do that right off the bat, so we're going to collect all that we can here. And the sticks, a ton of wood. Now, we're going to take this wood. I heard an animal. I heard it die. I don't like that I don't know where it's dying from. Come here. Got too much health and it's getting too dark. I'm genuinely surprised by how stout that raccoon is. We're gonna go ahead and get back to our little dirt hut. We're going to sneak in here, place this block here. Alright, and now we're going to illustrate how to make firewood and a fire. 32 firewood. Grab our blunt axe back out of here. We're going to place, I believe it is in this orientation, if I'm not mistaken. Is it one stick into the grass? If you're ever in doubt, there is this survival guide here. Click on everything and you can type in what you need. Fire starter, okay, it's 2 sticks, and then dry grass here. Bring an exit out of here. As you can see, it's incredibly dark. Like I said, it is super, super dark at night. We're going to grab this fire starter. And then we're going to also shift click to place those, then we're going to shift click and hold the right click to ignite fire in here. Wrong game. Almost there. got our first fire. This is going to help us light up our way and be slightly comfortable in the night. Can do, since we have the resources to do so. So we can also take this clay. And then we can place this down. This is the point where we're going to be able to kind of choose different clay recipes. There's also different types of clay for different recipes and things to do. In our situation, cooking pot is going to be great. We also would like to have bowls so that we can cook meals with. Crucibles I don't really need just yet. Metalworking is going to be great to get into, but we don't particularly need them. Raw storage vessels are good for preserving grains and vegetables. Fruits do count as vegetables, so your berries do count. Mushrooms do count as your vegetables as well. But this stuff here, like the anvil mold and the actual mold heads themselves, these are going to be for creating our stone tools and things like that. Then we've got a watering can for moving water to and from places if we wanted to. So all of this is super, super handy. We're going to get into that in episode 2. I'm going to wrap up this episode, and then we're going to move straight into episode 2, which will show exactly how we do pottery. Very similar to how we napped our stones, but you'll see that later on. I hope you found this video fun, engaging, and at least a little bit helpful. Just want to keep out there, see if there's any monsters. There's not. Anyways, I hope you guys had fun. I know I did. I love playing games like this, and I love games with a good challenge. I will see you guys in the next episode. Until then, I hope you have a great night. In the comment section, feel free to leave some sort of feedback, and maybe even what you would like to see next. Also, don't be shy, show your support, and leave a like. Until next time, we'll see you in the next episode.